Hey everyone, this is Derrick Broze of the Conscious Resistance Network, and today we're going to talk about the latest escalation in the war, the global war on terror, and the push for war with Iran, and of course Syria, and basically the completion of the takeover of that whole entire region that has been going on since the attacks of 9/11. Before we do that, though, I want to remind you guys, as usual, to bookmark theconsciousresistance.com. Guys, this is my website I've been running since 2013. I try to keep it as updated as possible, so all the videos, all the content that you see are right here, including from the other content creators, not just myself, but everybody who's contributed over the years. And now that we're in 2020, I'm going to be writing articles again for the Mind Unleashed and for our own website, so you can stay looking forward to written content as well as video content. Again, if you want to follow us, do so via minds.com, steemit/dtube. You can join our Discord channel. There's lots of conversation that goes on in there, and I post articles I find that I don't usually make videos on. You can also sign up to get text updates. This way you don't have to worry about clicking that bell on YouTube or Facebook to notify you. You can just get it directly to your phone whenever I release a video. And of course, you can get videos at BitChute. And if you want to support a little further, do so via Patreon or Subscribestar. You can also get yourself a free ounce of kratom or some CBD through our partners at My Brave Botanicals, and finally get our email newsletter. One other thing before we get to the important news that I want to mention to you guys, for those who've never noticed, right up here on the top right side, you see this says TCR Network. This is the Conscious Resistance Network, and you can come here, you can register, and you can log in. This is basically an internal social network that we've created, and it wasn't working for a while, but we recently revamped it and got it working. You can come here, sign up, get yourself, put your username, your name, email address. You have to fill out both of these fields right here, and go ahead and you can put yourself as an author, columnist, or whatever you want to sign up as, and just complete sign up. Make sure to check your spam folder. The email will come, and then from there you can activate it. And once you're activated, you can log in here, which will allow you to comment on the website. You can also create groups. You can private message each other within the network. So let's try to use this website as a way to communicate instead of Facebook and other platforms. All right, so getting right into things, guys, if you go to CNN.com, or I'm using Business Insider, of course, the big news of the day is that yesterday, Thursday, Donald Trump decided to launch what seems to be a unilateral attack, airstrikes on one of the important leaders, the generals, military generals of Iran. Now, this is coming on the heels of days, for those who haven't seen it, there's been days of struggles going on in Iraq where protesters have been outside of the U.S. Embassy and protesting. I mean, they're sick of it. I mean, the U.S., of course, is painting this and saying, oh, these protesters, they're being supported by or directed by Iranian-backed militias. And that could be true. I mean, we know that all governments kind of use subterfuge and proxies to launch the wars. This is a proxy war that's been going on, again, from the U.S. To Iran, as well as Russia behind Iran, and to a larger degree China, when it comes to Iran and Syria. So these conflicts have been waging for a while, but this most recent launching of attack, this kind of escalation, is coming as a result of the protest at the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad, which you can go look online and find all these pictures of people climbing the walls. And, you know, the U.S. military was saying, we need to go there and protect our assets, which, first of all, I mean, can we just pause for a moment and just say how insane it is that the U.S. government, the military, these terrorists, yes, they are terrorists, launched this illegal conflict after 9/11, go over there based on some bullshit lies that we all know are bullshit about weapons of mass destruction. They station troops there. Then we have an embassy there that, of course, the people don't want us there. I mean, we've been there for almost 20 years. I haven't been there, but let's say the U.S. military. The U.S. military, the government, the people behind them, and the blind soldiers who follow them have been there for 15, 17, going on years, at least in Afghanistan. So we've been there for quite some time. And now they're talking about a troop surge of 4,000 more troops going there to, calm the situation down. So that was all going on. And then unannounced, Donald Trump launches an airstrike. And even if you just look at CNN live updates here, it says McConnell asks senators to wait to review the facts before passing judgment on airstrike. Officials say New York City is country's top terror target. You see how they're already ramping up this idea that Iran might strike back, that Iran's going to try to commit some terror attack against the U.S. Iran is a big, beautiful, Persia, this big, beautiful nation that has a rich culture and history, but they are by no means, able to attack the U.S. I mean, it's just this idea that Iran and Syria are just some major threat to us is absolute bullshit. The U.S. is surrounding them. They have military bases surrounding them. They've got Israel to the west, and it's if anything, Iran are the ones who should be afraid. I mean, that's just the reality. Mitch McConnell says Soleimani, who is the man who was killed in the airstrike, Iranian General Qassem Soleimani, on Trump's order, he says his terrorist leadership has ended. They're calling him a terrorist mastermind. And right here you see Democratic senators say Trump must explain shocking killing. Airlines are suspending flights to Baghdad. It goes on and on and on. But the point is, they're already pushing this idea right here. You see, Soleimani was planning specific attacks from multiple countries, according to source. Who's the source? We don't know. But they're claiming now that he was at the point of getting ready to, mastermind terror attacks, just like with Osama bin Laden. And it's just a bunch of bullshit. We heard these reports last night. I'll show you guys. This was given to me late last night by my friend Aaron from the Mind Unleashed. Breaking: Iraq official TV announces Iran's Revolutionary Guard leader Qassem Soleimani is assassinated. So they were the first ones reporting the assassination via drone strikes, and then the U.S. openly started talking about it. We weren't sure in the beginning, like, is the U.S. going to claim they have nothing to do with this, or are they going to be open about it? Now the U.S. is open and say they ordered airstrikes. I have some pictures. Let me see if I can find these pictures real quick. Well, we'll pull those pictures up in a few minutes. They're not pretty. There's some that include dead bodies, and there's blown up cars and things of that sort. But I want to point to this tweet from Aaron Mate. Some of you may know Aaron. He does good work. I think he's with the Gray Zone right now. And he said a couple of points here. Number one, Trump is a con man. Yes, those of you in the audience who are still around who love Trump, you need to face the facts. Drain the swamp was a con. Ending endless wars was a con. Number two, Aaron says prominent Democrats and pundits behind the Russiagate con are complicit. They push deranged fantasies about Putin and sidelines Trump's escalation to war. So basically, they're pushing him, trying to say, oh, he's siding with these people. So he wants to prove himself. At least that's the game that they're playing. He wants to prove himself. So now he's proving that he's not friends with Iran and by proxy, their allies in Russia. And then Aaron ends here saying, people claiming Trump did this to distract from impeachment have it in reverse. Trump was able to do this because the Democrats wasted political capital on the Russiagate farce and its Ukrainegate sequel. And not only has there been no opposition to Iran warmongering, there has been help. Yes, all these people, they are warmongers, and they support these efforts. We can go over here to Business Insider. Again, Pentagon says it killed top Iranian General Qassem Soleimani on Trump's orders. Soleimani was reportedly killed in an airstrike. The U.S. held him responsible for the deaths of hundreds of American troops and a recent rocket attack that killed a U.S. contractor. So again, the U.S., the aggressors, the terrorists, come into somebody else's nation. They stage conflict for nearly 2 decades, leading to the deaths of, we're told, 1 million Iraqis. Over 1 million Iraqis are estimated to have been dead since 2003, whenever the U.S. started invading after 9/11. And the whole situation is just turned to shit. It's just falling apart over the last couple years, and the U.S. realized that. We know from the Pentagon, or not the Pentagon papers, but the Afghanistan papers, which they weren't huge revelations, but it's further information knowing that the war on terror is a losing battle, and we've known this for a while. So everything's falling to shit. There's a lot of chaos going on. The people in Iraq are sick of U.S. forces being there, and meanwhile, U.S. allies are abandoning Trump over his dangerous escalation with Iran. U.S. European allies on Friday warned against further escalation with Iran after Donald Trump ordered the assassination. UK said that further conflict with Iran is, quote, none of our interest. Germany also warned of a dangerous escalation. And Tom Tugendhat, the chairman of the UK Parliament's Foreign Affairs Committee, told the BBC, quote, the purpose of having allies is so that we can surprise our enemies and not each other. Now, this could just all be political posturing. But here's another little interesting tidbit for those who support Donald Trump. Old Donald Trump tweets emerge predicting that Obama would start a war with Iran to get him reelected, and those are now coming back to haunt him. And 2011, 2012, way before Donald Trump was ever considering running for president, as far as we know, Donald Trump repeatedly accused then-President Barack Obama of seeking war with Iran to help win the 2012 election. He said, quote, in order to get elected, Barack Obama will start a war with Iran. This was tweeted in 2011. And, of course, this comes in the heels of the assassination. And there's several other tweets that they quote here. He says, in order to get reelected, Barack Obama will start a war with Iran. Then October 9, 2012, Trump said, now that Obama's poll numbers are in tailspin, watch for him to launch a strike in Libya or Iran. He's desperate. And he says, don't let Obama play the Iran card in order to start a war, in order to get reelected. Be careful, Republicans. I mean, and here it's just, I don't know, guys. I'm not sure how you guys can still hold on to any hope that this guy is on your side. And if you don't get it by now, I mean, the reason I've been so harsh and some of you guys are like, oh, you're rude to the Trump supporters, is because just like with the Obama supporters, if you don't get what the fuck is going on by the end of their first term, it's been almost, we're coming to the end of 4 years now. If you don't see it now, you're choosing to remain ignorant. There's just no other way. I mean, you can look at so many aspects of Trump, not even just the war angle, but you can look at, say, one name, Wilbur Ross, the guy who worked for the Rothschild banks, who was a Democrat until Trump appointed him, and then he switched to the Republican Party, much like Donald Trump hung out with a lot of Democrats. Not that it really matters. It just shows you how they play both sides. I mean, there's just so many pieces of evidence to show that this guy is full of shit, and now they're dropping bombs again. Remember, we've been doing videos recently about the big stories of 2019, how we were lied to about the gas attacks in Syria, and Donald Trump launched 100 Tomahawk missiles. Well, here we are, launching airstrikes to kill some alleged bad guy because he was planning terror attacks in another sovereign nation. I mean, the Iraqis don't want us there. That's why the protests are going on. Sure, maybe the Iranians are taking advantage of that and trying to create chaos, but the reason the protests are happening is because they do not want the American military there. People realize that the American military and the American government are the terrorists. And you can be offended if you want, but that's the fucking reality. If you look around, who's going in and creating wars of aggression, who's invading other people's countries, who's dropping bombs, who's using torture, human rights abuses, who refuses to be held accountable for any of these things? The U.S. government, the U.S. military, and not, of course, some of you soldiers out there have woken up and realized that you were pawns. I have friends who realize this. But many of these people are just being pawns in, a rich man's game. And like Zbigniew Brzezinski and Henry Kissinger and some of these other, quote-unquote globalists, the parasites have said, this is just a grand chessboard, and we're all just pawns on their chessboard. And so people need to wake up to this fact. And if you guys think that Donald Trump is your savior, you need to wake up. I have another video that I was going to do today, but I'm going to save it for tomorrow, and I think you guys will find it interesting. It's going to be called Donald Trump versus the Left, and I think it's an important analysis that you're going to need to hear and see, so I hope you'll come back tomorrow. In the meantime, though, I want to remind you guys that I am currently doing crowdfunding campaign for my next documentary. We have just 9 days left. My goal was $2,000. We're at 33%. We've raised $668. If we can push that to $1,000, that would be a huge help. Again, this is not going to fund my fancy lifestyle or anything like that. This is going to fund paying the editors of my documentary, which deals with 5G, the smart grid, the technocracy, and my book, which is how to opt out of the technocratic state. And both of those editors need to be paid for their time. The editor who's going to edit my book and the editor who's going to edit my documentary. So if you want to help me do that, since I am not funded by the BBC or Fox News or any other major outlet or anybody, the only support I have is from you, my supporters, my friends, my allies in this battle for truth and for waking people up. So please consider making a one-time contribution, or if you can, become a monthly contributor via Patreon. And sign up at our website. Join the Conscious Resistance Network. We're really going to focus this year, 2020, on building up our own internal network and giving people a place to comment and communicate. Perhaps we can get a forum going in here where we can actually have some discussion and dialogue, and we can get away from some of those other platforms. And of course, I won't be stealing your data or tracking you or anything like that. So that's where we're going to leave it, guys. Until next time, you know the drill. Remember, you are powerful, you are beautiful, and you are free. Peace.